Can you please tell us about your definition of religion? Because you have understood religion from many aspects, many point of views. You know about many types of religion since you have visited so many countries. Please tell us about that. And India also has many religions and beliefs. We invite your views on this.
Well, I'll go back to the etymologies that I love. If you go to the etymology of religion, it's religare, that is also a Latin voice, and it means to bind, to make a bond. Sadly, I have observed that most of the religions, they try to say, I am the only one. Only through this religion you will meet the real God. And that happens mostly in monotheist religions. In that sense, I guess that Buddhism and Hinduism are very ahead of monotheist religions in the sense that they are more universal. They contemplate a different variety of gods, of forces, and that is actually in my opinion, a closer approach to what religion really is. But also, I have observed that in all religions there are a lot of superstitions. And I guess the real aim of religion is to make you free. The real aim to religion is to actually connect with your spiritual being, with the God inside you, to bind with your real divine nature, in order to make all those superstitions disappear and realize that the most religious attitude is that of love, of compassion, that actually all the masters of all religions have shown. It is only the human being, the nature of the human beings that makes their own interpretation of what the big great masters as Jesus, as Buddha have told, and they interpret as per their own opinions. But religion is about love, it's about compassion, it's about unity, it's about looking the higher in us, and also, if we go deeper, and in that sense, theosophy has been a great eye-opener for me, in the sense that when you study deeply, one of the objectives of the Theosophical Society is to make a comparative study of science, philosophies, and religions. And when you go deep in the theosophical literature, you realize that the common ground of all the religions is the same. Exactly the same. You go to the Christian religion and you find same stories that you can find in Judaism, in Islam, even in Hinduism. There are very similar stories, teachings, etc. So actually religion is about unity only.
Yes, ma'am. Well, that is a very interesting perspective. Religion is basically about unity, as you said, and thank you for sharing that. Ma'am, please tell us about how Theosophical Society looks at education, and how is it different from the J.D. Krishnamurti idea of education?
Actually, okay. What I understand about Krishnamurti's view of education, he had an approach to education very unconventional for his time. Because for him, education was supposed to be the thing that leads you to transform your inner self and make you free from all these conditionings of society that we have been talking along our conversation. So for him, the basic motto was the freedom, but that inner freedom, that openness of mind, that Krishnamurti insists a lot on living the present moment, that every moment is unique, and then the awareness of the present moment is the only thing that really can lead you to understand things. Okay, put Krishnamurti's teaching in words is not easy, But mainly that is the conception that I can understand about Krishnamurti's view of education. And I don't think that theosophical approach to education differs so much from Krishnamurti's approach, because as we have been discussing, this transformative education, this theosophical education aims also to beyond creating people that is ready only to write, produce mad and intellectual thoughts, we aim to taught our children's self-reliance, love for all men, unselfishness, mutual charity, to think and reason for themselves, meaning being free-minded. So I don't see a big difference. I see that they meet at some point.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. That was okay, ma'am. Please tell us about your idea of spiritualism and what today's youth can learn from it, because many children do not pay heed to all of these words like spiritualism, dharma, and all of these things which are very important to understand in life. Can you please tell us about that?
Sure. Okay. I guess for me, real spiritualism implies a practice. That whenever, if you just read about those beautiful words or complex concepts as karma or whatever, and you keep them in your ideas, it is not spiritual. The spirituality implies a practice, and in that sense there are many people that they don't know anything about karma, they don't know anything about any spiritual teaching, but they are living a spiritual life because they are focusing on their duty, they are being good neighbors, they are being good parents, they are being good citizens, and they are making their lives a good life and making the world better. That is for me the real spirituality. And there is a golden rule that not to do to others what I do not want them to do to me. That if you apply that principle, you are being also a very deep spiritual person. And regarding the approach that we can give to children about the spiritualism is that, okay, you don't need to talk to children about karma, dharma, or anything. If you want to talk about karma, you just can show them how the cause and effect works in nature. If you cut a plant, if you cut trees, then the global warming will come. That is karma, that is cause and effect. And that is a practical approach of that. If you want to touch about dharma, you can just, to teach, about karma, you can just talk about the duty, how to fulfill your duty, how to be a better son, a better brother, a better cousin, a better friend, and you also can try to help the children to find their passion, because dharma has to do with the fulfillment of our destiny, of our duty. So I guess it's more a practical approach than anything, and I guess that's a way that young people can learn about those spiritual laws without any need of mentioning them or confusing, maybe get some confusion in their mind.
Yes, ma'am. That was very interesting. My viewers, you also learn about this and try to involve yourself into these topics because it is very interesting to know about them. And thank you, ma'am, for sharing that. And please tell us about your top 5 learnings from your life, which you think are most important.
Okay, let me think about top learnings, because during the conversation I had some, but now, okay. There is one that I guess, sorry. There is one that it has come very often in our conversation, the unity among the diversity, that the human beings are a big family. That is a big learning that has been fundamental for my life. Other one is the importance to listen to the other. You can learn, and listen to the other means not only listen to what people say, but also be aware of everything that surrounds you. Observe, like listening to your environment, we could say, because that is a way of learning, very deep way of learning, because you are learning through your own experience. The value of human relations, that is very important. I guess human relations are the base of everything. I guess you cannot see yourself as an isolated being. You have to see yourself as in relation. You have to see yourself as in relation to the other, because you are the other also. The importance of making volunteer work. I have been a volunteer during almost all my life in Brazil and here in India. Those were the reasons that made me go out of my country. And when you are a volunteer, you realize that there is a sense of duty beyond receiving a salary, beyond any kind of professional reward, and that makes you to experience a sense of freedom of all those impositions from society, but also the freedom to give with your heart. And this is something that I will recommend to every children and young that is watching this video. Try to do volunteer work at least once in your life. Go to another country and make volunteer work. Engage with a volunteer work of around your community, through your school, through your college. Select a project, something that you are passionate about, and do some volunteer work to make that flourish, to help people. Volunteer work is a very nice way to fulfill one's mission with that freedom from the impositions of society. So it's a very, very enriching experience. Please do volunteer work once or during all your life also.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That was certainly very enriching, and everybody please follow these 5 things. And ma'am, please advise a few books which you think are very important for people to read in their life.
Okay, I don't know. Of course, this book are from my personal perspective, but okay, I will advise books and authors of books, because there is a German author of child and youth literature. His name is Michael Ende. He died already, but all his books are full of so many fantasy, but through the fantasy he shows us the real problems of the world and how to try to fix them, how to be more aware of that. There are 2 specific books of him that have defined my life since my childhood, because I have read them in different moments of my life. There is one book by Michael Ende called Momo, M-O-M-O. That's the name of the book, Momo. Momo is the name of the main character, and it is a girl that she knows how to listen to people, and through listening to people are able to express themselves and to go out of the routine. And it also talks about how there are some characters that are the gray men, that they steal the time from people. And it's like a metaphor of the modern society, that you are in the middle of this crazy world, that you don't have time for your family, you don't have time for enjoying, and you are only working and producing. So it's very nice, but it's in a very simple language because it's for children. And there is another book from him that is The Never Ending Story. There is a movie about that. It's a great book also. Then those are like literature books. To those I will add, because there are the literature books and there are the theosophical books. In my list of literature books, okay, Michael Ende, and there is a German author, Hermann Hesse. He has written a book called Siddhartha. That is the novel life of Gautama Buddha's life. And it's a beautiful book because he stressed in a very poetical and deep way all the events of Gautama Buddha's life. Is very, very beautiful book. And also there are two authors, female authors. There is not a specific book of them. I like all their works. They are called Marguerite Yourcenar. She was a writer from Belgium. She used to write in French, but she is translated to almost every language. And there is a Brazilian author called Clarice Lispector. And for me, they have shown me a way of writing, of treating the language, of approaching the fantasy and the fiction in a very nice way. And now, talking about theosophical books, there are two books from Madame Blavatsky, that was one of the founders of the Theosophical Society, that are The Secret Doctrine. I have not read the book completely. It is a very, very big, there are 2 volumes. In Spanish, it's 5 or 6 volumes. And it contains, it's a compendium of science, religion, philosophy, but what I have read of the book has changed completely my mindset and my understanding of the cosmos, of the world. And there is another book of hers called The Voice of the Silence. That is a very deep and poetic book. And there is a book from Krishnamurti called At the Feet of the Master that I also advise to read. And in general, all Krishnamurti's videos and books are great. And there are 2 books, Thought Forms and Music Forms, from different authors. Thought Forms is written by Leadbeater and Music Forms by Geoffrey Hodgson. And the amazing thing about those books is that they show you what happens in the invisible world when you put your thought to work. So we know that we believe that we are all this physical body, and only that what we can see is what is there. But we have to realize that there is a world beyond the physical sphere. There is an emotional world, etheric world, and all what you think, all the sounds that you produce have an impact. So they had some clarividence research showing how the sounds and the thoughts affect the environment around you. And that leads me to another book from Annie Besant called The Power of Thought. Basically those books, of course, I have already mentioned Bhagavad Gita.
And ma'am, please send me all those books. I will put all of them in the description below. My viewers, please be sure to check out that. And ma'am, please tell us about your role models, from whom you have been inspired most and why. Because you have done a lot in your life, you have contributed to a lot of people. So please tell us about your role models.
Okay, it may sound a little bit like a very common answer, but really my main role models are my parents, for sure. From them I have learned, and I am what I am today. All that they have taught me, they have shown me. But I also believe that in different moments of our life, we have different masters. I mean, I believe that in this life, all of us are teachers and disciples. So in different moments of our lives, we have people who contribute to what we are, and that we follow as models in the sense that they inspire us. So of course, during my life, I have had my teachers, some teachers that they have been fundamental for what I am, but my family, my husband, even my daughter, because not necessarily a model has to be an elder person. You can take many things from each person that you meet in your life. So for me, more than models, they are inspirations. And of course, there is a person who inspires, the figure who inspires me a lot. That is Blavatsky, Elena Blavatsky, one of the founders of Theosophical Society. Her life is fascinating, and she keeps inspiring me so much.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you please tell us about two people whom you would like to see and learn from on this show, and why?
You mean like other guests that I suggest for your? Yeah, I of
Yes.
course will give you their contacts. There are two women that I have met here in India only. One of them is called Swati. Okay, I don't remember her name. Wait, Shikar. How do you pronounce Swati's name? Swati, sorry, I cannot pronounce it. Swati Reddy is one of these persons. She's a young person that is very engaged with the spreading of yoga in the yoga's multiple aspects, and she's doing a great job. She recently opened her own academy where she not only teaches yoga but different aspects of the Indian culture. So she's a person, very interesting person that I think will contribute too much to your show and will inspire other young people. And the other person is, okay, Swati lives in Bangalore, and other person is another woman called Bimal Balachandar. I have met her here in Chennai. She lives here in Chennai, and she is a mother of a child with special needs. And she's also an artist. And what she does through art with the special children, and what she does as a mother and as an activist of this kind of support and education for special children, it's amazing. It's really, really inspiring. And I will advise those two wonderful women that are really making a big impact in many people's lives. I'll begin again. So I really enjoyed this experience, and I really liked being part of this, to be involved in this. I first of all want to congratulate you for this wonderful job that you are making. You are a person who really takes this as a dharma, as a duty, and you do it wonderfully. You make so deep questions, and I guess we were talking about that volunteer work. I guess this is your volunteer work, because I know you are engaged with your school with so many things, but this you take as a very nice thing to spread, to try to make the world a better place in some way, and that is wonderful, really, really. And I feel very honored and very happy to be part of this, because I consider that young people like you are, people used to say young and kids are the future, but I really believe that yes, you are the future, but you are the present. You are making a present, because it's from the present that you have a better future. So that is great, and it fills me with a hope to know that there are such young people like you. And I have seen you have made interviews with other young people. I have took a look in your channel. There are very nice young people that you have interviewed, and it's very, 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 very nice to know that there are such clear minds and such deep spirits in this world. So basically that, and I don't think that you should change anything. I think the way you are doing is very nice, because it's the way you feel to do it, and you are following your passion, and that is what we should aim to.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And I learned a lot today from you, ma'am. I hope my viewers, you also learned a lot, because ma'am shared a lot, and I learned a lot about theosophy, and not only theosophy, about many cultures from the world, and why we should learn more about, step out of our comfort zone and learn more about the world, because we have only one life. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing. And